Things I've been talking a lot about to people lately has been how we are getting moms more active in pregnancy and more active in early postpartum. And it's a shift from, I think, in the days that I had my kids where it was like, do gentle things. If you were given advice, or if you got general advice, it was like, oh, just do what you do. And what's interesting is we didn't have a way to be like, all right, well, if you just did gentle things, you're going to be totally fine and have no issues. Or if you just do what you're going to do, you're going to be totally fine and have no issues. We had no way of kind of like teasing that out. But what I will say is one of the things that I have the most FOMO about with moms now is that they have actual guidance to stay active longer in pregnancy. For example, like symphysis pubis issues, that sort of thing. I had that really badly in my first pregnancy, and I tried to stay as active as possible, to the point like I wasn't walking well. It's really, if you get on top of it early, it's really easy to manage. We have moms now that, because of things like the Recore Fitness Fit Splint, we can run in pregnancy, have support. I have a colleague of mine, we were talking this morning about, should just pop a pessary in to see if it's going to support things just a little bit more in pregnancy. Like we're doing more things to keep and stay active because we're finding that it just makes things so much easier on the other side because you're not deconditioning or you're not deconditioned. And that's one thing that I definitely feel through both of my pregnancies, that deconditioning was a huge part of that. And I think throw that together with the fact that I had hip surgery a couple years before my oldest, my pregnancy with him, like, I don't know that I was in that great shape going into any of this stuff. And it's such a slog coming out of it. And it's crazy to think that, like, I have an almost 15-year-old, and this is still, like, one of the things that I have to work the hardest at, is abdominal strength. And I honestly don't think that was a forte prior to anything. Don't know that it was ever a forte of mine. But like the context in which I was taught it in like the 80s was just like standard sit-ups or, crunches, and I just hated that stuff. I hated group class, all that. I was like, we've got to find a better way to kind of integrate this stuff early, get buy-in. And it's not just to have six-pack abs or to have washboard abs or things like that, not for aesthetic reasons, but to be like, yeah, you want abdominal strength so you can be badass and strong and do all of these things, stay strong during pregnancy, and then feel connected on the other side and not feel like you have like your belly is a water bed that's completely disconnected. So yeah, those are kind of some of the things that I've really, when I'm talking to clients about, the different, especially ones that are my age and we're trying to do bigger things, but never really filled that gap of strength because that's not what was expected of us. To go back and do that and fill that gap, and then to tell the new moms now, like, hey, you guys kind of have a huge step ahead of what we used to have. So I'm trying to pay it forward and be like, don't do what I didn't do because I didn't know. We didn't have the data that we have now, but like, there are like just switching that narrative around being strong, from that idea that it's an aesthetic thing to no, you really want to be strong. I'm thinking of my daughter right now. She does cutting sports. That's great. Bone development, tendon health, all of that. She's setting her future up with what she's doing now. And that's just something that we were never really taught. And then staying strong in our pre-pregnancy years and then on and after. So yeah, it's just something that I've been thinking a lot about, and how lucky we are to have updated research these days talking about the benefits of this. Everybody's been asking me lately, like, how soon can I get back to exercise, for C-section? Like, again, I wish that we'd done it a lot sooner. Yeah, we want to go as soon as we possibly can, keeping in mind, making sure incision heals and all of that stuff. But I'm really, really curious for those of you moms that are my vintage. Is that something you feel like you have to, like, you're constantly fighting and working against and feel like the moms today, you know, that are sliding through your algorithm, that's really such a huge emphasis that we never got. And for moms that are like, you've got littles or you're going through pregnancy and stuff right now, like, do you feel like you have good guidance and you have a good sense of kind of what you're supposed to do? Because it's, back in the day, it was like, ooh, all this stuff is unsafe, and we're finding that that's not exactly true. So curious, let me know.